So welcome back to 1000 Steps video activity. This is Sharad Kumar, Economics faculty in Shakthi International School. Today we are going to focus on one of the concept in national income accounting, that is GDP and welfare. Okay, so in last classes we have discussed about different methods of calculating national income accounting. So today we are going to focus that how GDP can be a indicator to measure the welfare of an economy. So is it a right indicator or not? So this video is completely reserved for the GDP and welfare. Okay, let's get into the discussion. Well, I hope that you could able to see the screen sharing. So you could see that GDP and welfare. Let's try to understand what is this welfare. So when you could call an economy is going proceed towards welfare. Okay, so welfare is nothing but a sense of material well-being among the people. If people are getting the essential goods and services, okay, to lead their livelihood, okay, we could say that so those household is getting into a well-being. Okay, so for better understanding, in an economy, when the households are getting the sufficient goods and services year after year, so their quality of living will improve. So by this we could say that that specific economy and country is going towards welfare. Okay, so this one we could easily measure and forecast, so with the help of GDP. But so some of the economists are saying that GDP cannot be a right indicator to measure the well-being or welfare of the economy. It has its own limitations. So today we are going to talk that, so what are those limitations, how these limitations keeping GDP away from a measure of welfare of an economy. Even though, okay, so we have these limitations, so still we are using GDP as one of the standard index to measure the welfare of the people. Okay, let's go and see what are those limitations and reasons. Okay, let's go one by one. So we have the very first limitation called distribution of GDP. Okay, so you all know that GDP is nothing but the money value or market value of the goods and services, so which has been produced within the domestic territory of a country. Okay, these goods and services are produced by the firms with the help of factors of production. Okay, so they are saying that GDP could be even treated as a income. Okay, so what income being generated in an economy, that income is not equally distributed among all. So we could see that there is a huge gap being created in an economy in the name of rich and poor. Okay, so every time whatever the income may generated, the majority portion goes to the hands of rich and poor will become poor. Okay, in GDP, we are literally ignoring this gap and just we only talk about the growth of GDP, but not the distribution of GDPs. Due to this reason, we could say that GDP cannot be considered as a welfare of the people. Okay, just by rise in GDP, welfare cannot be raised, because in GDP, distribution of GDP being totally ignored. So this is one limitation. Let's go for the next one, that is change in prices. Okay, so here they are trying to talk about a nominal GDP. You all know that GDP rises just because of rise in its prices, just because of inflation effect. Okay, so due to that reason, we cannot consider GDP as a reliable indicator for economic welfare. Why? Because there will be no any increase in physical output, just increase has been happened because of rise in prices. So due to this reason, we cannot consider GDP as a right indicator of economic welfare. Okay, let's go for the next one. Number 3, that is non-monetary exchange. Non-monetary exchange, nothing but whatever the exchange been happening between the two parties, those exchange happening without any money consideration, without taking anything as money. Okay, so you could see that there are so many activities are happening like that in an Indian economy. For some examples, like housewives working for their families, and kitchen gardening, what does by someone at the leisure time. Okay, so everything will be ignored just because they are not measured at money terms, nothing being exchanged through money. Okay, so in GDP, we only consider those goods and services which has monetary measurement. If it doesn't, we never going to be considered. From that context, we could say that GDP is not a right indicator of economic welfare because they are ignoring all non-monetary exchanges. We have still more limitations. So we will try to discuss those limitations in the upcoming video. Thank you.